I was scared because I had to cancel all of my plans now, and from being an independent girl to now having to depend on my doctors, it was really hard. When I was a little girl, I thought the whole world revolved around me. Until my brother was born, of course, just a year later. But even then, I knew that I was so loved by my family. I was the first female grandchild in my mom's side, and I just was a very happy, independent girl. Funny enough, my mom told me a story recently where she said, when I got tall enough to reach the fridge, I went up there and I opened the fridge and I told her, "All right, you can leave now. I'm old enough to open the fridge by myself." I must have been like 2 or 3 years old. So as you can tell, I was very independent and just an all-around very happy girl. Well, fast forward, I was 19 years old, and this was in 2017. I was getting ready to take my first year abroad. And of course, in college, you can imagine this is my first year where I'm getting full independence. I'm going to get to experience the world and travel. So I was very excited about it. I planned everything and I got ready to go. And I spent my first semester there, and it turns out there was this airline called WOW Air that was giving really cheap flights from the US and Europe. So I was able to come home for Christmas. So I was so happy. I got to come home for Christmas. I was with my family. And one day we decided to go to church. This was a Saturday. And during church, I started feeling like my vision was getting kind of blurry. And my left eye, there were some floaters that were kind of coming up in my vision. And I just got a little bit scared. So I told my friend, and my friend said, "You should definitely call your doctor. Just check to make sure everything is okay." And so that's what I did. I called the office, and my doctor was actually on call that weekend. And so he said, "Just come on in and we'll take a look at it." So I came in, and to my surprise, I had a retinal detachment. And if you're not familiar with this, it's something that doesn't usually occur to people my age. It usually happens later on in age. And not only that, but it's very uncommon unless you've had some kind of physical trauma to your face or to your body. But I didn't have any physical traumas that I could think of, and so I was very confused. I was very angry, and because of that retinal detachment, some other things happened, like I ended up developing a tumor in my left eye, and I was very scared. I was scared because I had to cancel all of my plans now, and from being an independent girl to now having to depend on my doctors, on my family, it was really hard. So I canceled my flight and I went home, and I ended up having a surgery and spent 3 months in recovery. And I remember during that time, my family wasn't doing well financially. It was really hard. I think one of the hardest things was having to feel like people were pitying me. People felt bad for me. And so I kind of locked myself in my room and I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk about what was happening to me. I barely even talked to my family about it. But as the years have gone by, I actually have asked God about it. I asked God, why is it that happened to me? Is it because I'm supposed to share my story? Am I supposed to help other people who are maybe going through something similar? And I didn't feel like that's what God was asking me to do. So I've just felt very confused and still dealing with a lot of grief over what happened. But recently I heard this song, and in the bridge, it said, "Fear is not my future, you are. And sickness is not my story, you are." And for some reason, I think it finally clicked. And I just got so emotional. And I finally feel like I understood what God was telling me. He was telling me, sickness can feel like it's a big part of your story, and it can feel like it deters you from fulfilling what you thought your purpose was going to be. But the truth is that sickness is not your story. It may just be a part of it, but God is my story. Jesus is the reason that I can see, that I can breathe, that I can live, that I can tell my story. He's the reason that I have a joy in living. And so I think that finally clicked in my mind, and it has given me this purpose for living. And this is a part of my story. I will never forget everything that I had to go through, that my family had to go through. But for the first time in my life, I had to depend on other people. I had to depend on God. Now, whenever I go through something hard, I think a lot on that time in my life where I had to depend on other people. And I remind myself, hey, it's okay to get help. It's okay to rely on other people, the people you love the most. It's okay to rely on God when you're going through hard times. The most important thing is that sickness is not my whole story. It is just one small part, and Jesus is my final story and my purpose for living. My name is Laia Amaya, and this is my story.
I'm Pastor Tara Van Cross, and we're so glad that you've tuned into our Azure Hills Church YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and click on the bell so that you'll be notified every time we share new videos. We are so glad that you're here. Until next time, please know that we're praying for you as you continue to be a voice of hope.